Have you ever found yourself reaching for a snack late in the evening, wondering if there's something both satisfying and nourishing to enjoy without regret the next morning? Many of us in our 70s and beyond face this daily dilemma. How do we indulge our taste buds while also doing right by our bodies? There's a surprising combination that tends to fly under the radar: cottage cheese with pineapple. It might sound simple, even a bit old-fashioned, yet it offers a unique blend of flavors and nutrients that can be a true comfort while supporting various aspects of senior wellness. As a holistic wellness coach who has guided many older adults toward more balanced eating, I've seen countless individuals discover this classic pairing and marvel at how it can brighten their day. One challenge many of us encounter as we age is striking the right balance between taste and health benefits. We're told repeatedly to watch our sugar intake, limit our cholesterol, and be mindful of certain nutrients. It can feel like we're navigating a never-ending maze of do's and don'ts. Over time, this can dampen our enjoyment of food, leaving us to resign ourselves to bland, uninspiring meals. But imagine if, in the midst of that confusion, you stumbled upon a simple snack or mini meal that blends sweet and savory, is easy to prepare, and aligns well with the changing nutritional needs we experience after 75. Why does it even matter to get this balance right? The stakes are higher now for maintaining muscle strength, good digestion, and steady energy levels. Even our immune systems often require more careful support than before. When we can lean on foods that meet these needs and actually taste good, we boost not only our physical health, but also our quality of life. After all, a big part of holistic wellness includes emotional enjoyment, the pleasure of tasting fresh flavors, the comfort of knowing you're treating your body kindly, and the simple joy of a snack that doesn't feel like a chore. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore 4 key insights that can help you see cottage cheese with pineapple in a whole new light. Think of it as a mini transformation. You'll not only learn why this pairing is so remarkable nutritionally, but you'll also discover practical tips for incorporating it into your daily routine. Common misconceptions to lay aside, and ways to adapt it for different dietary needs. You might be surprised at how many benefits hide in something so familiar. While I'm not a medical doctor, I've consulted with nutrition-focused professionals and have spent years working alongside seniors who've successfully improved their diets. This script is intended to share insights that you can consider alongside your healthcare provider's advice. In this journey, I'll address many questions you may have, such as how much cottage cheese is appropriate, whether pineapples might affect certain conditions, and how this combination can be tailored to your unique preferences. By the end, you'll feel confident about trying, and maybe even loving, this surprisingly beneficial snack. Before we dive deeper, I'd love to hear from you. What's your go-to snack when you want something light, flavorful, and potentially helpful for your body? Feel free to reflect on that question as we move forward. You might find a new favorite by the time we're done. Let's begin by challenging some assumptions around cottage cheese with pineapple and explore what it could mean for your life right now. Let's start by looking at how we often overlook simple foods and why that might be holding us back from feeling our best. Many older adults assume that if a food is appealing to the taste buds, it might not be especially good for their health. Perhaps you've encountered the idea that anything sweet should be off limits or at least viewed with suspicion. Yet this mindset can lead to missing out on wonderful possibilities. If we pick up a carton of cottage cheese from the grocery store or see those bright yellow chunks of pineapple in the produce aisle, we may pass them by, thinking they're either too indulgent or too mundane. But let's gently challenge that assumption. A common misconception seniors often carry is that cottage cheese is fattening and that pineapple is loaded with too much sugar. There's some nuance here. Cottage cheese indeed comes in various fat levels: full fat, low fat, and everything in between. And pineapple, like any fruit, does contain natural sugars. But assuming these factors automatically disqualify them from a healthy lifestyle can be misleading. Let's take the story of Mabel, a 76-year-old retiree who used to swear off cheese entirely because she believed it was too fatty. She also avoided pineapple unless it was part of a dessert she'd have on special occasions, fearing the sugar would spike her blood sugar levels. However, Mabel soon discovered a different perspective at her community nutrition workshop. She learned that low-fat cottage cheese, in particular, can be a source of high-quality protein, offering essential amino acids that our bodies require to maintain muscle mass and support daily function. She also learned that the natural sugars in pineapple, when enjoyed in moderation, differ significantly from refined sugars found in candy or pastries. That revelation opened the door to trying new snack options that she hadn't considered in years. An evidence-based insight is that cottage cheese, especially when chosen in a low-fat or reduced sodium variety, contains vital nutrients like calcium and B vitamins that can support bone health and energy levels. Pineapple, on the other hand, provides vitamin C, manganese, and an enzyme called bromelain, which may aid digestion in some individuals. The synergy of these two foods can be quite remarkable. While you enjoy the creamy taste of cottage cheese, the acidity and sweetness of pineapple help cut through the dairy flavor, making each bite refreshing rather than heavy. If you want to try this in your own kitchen, consider keeping a small container of cottage cheese in your refrigerator. Choose a variety that best matches your dietary goals, whether that's low-fat or a moderate-fat version for a richer taste. Then, get fresh pineapple if you can, though canned pineapple in its own juice, not heavy syrup, can also work well. In a small bowl, combine a scoop of cottage cheese with a few pieces of pineapple. Taste it first before adding any sweeteners. You might be pleasantly surprised to find it needs no extra sugar at all. Physically, this simple snack can offer a boost of protein and quick energy, especially if you've had a light breakfast or lunch and need something more substantial. Emotionally, it can feel like a small indulgence, sweetness balanced by creaminess, reminding you that healthy eating doesn't have to be bland or boring. Mabel reports that her mid-afternoon slump has improved since adding cottage cheese and pineapple into her routine. She feels more satisfied and is less likely to reach for processed sweets out of boredom. If you haven't already, keep an open mind. You may just replace that bag of cookies with this fun, nutrient-packed alternative. It's amazing how a single shift in perspective can open up new possibilities. Now that we've challenged the assumption that taste and nutrition can't go hand in hand, it's worth addressing another widespread belief among older adults. Many seniors believe that healthy eating must be complicated, full of exotic ingredients or expensive supplements. We're surrounded by ads proclaiming the latest superfood or miracle powder. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, thinking that unless we follow these trends, we're missing out on the best solutions. In truth, the simpler your approach, the easier it is to stay consistent. Let's think about Jerry, who's 81. He's always been a meat and potatoes guy, quite skeptical of anything labeled a health food. For years, the idea of combining cottage cheese and pineapple sounded trendy or too modern. Yet he also wanted to manage his weight and keep up his energy for walks with his grandkids. Jerry decided to try a back-to-basics approach. Instead of buying expensive shakes or supplements, he looked for familiar foods at his grocery store that were high in protein, low in unnecessary additives, and easy to prepare. A friend suggested cottage cheese with a side of sliced fruit. On a whim, Jerry grabbed a small container of pineapple chunks from the produce section, thinking it wouldn't be too big of a commitment if he ended up disliking it. Much to his surprise, he found the two flavors downright delicious. Plus, there was no complicated recipe required. The evidence-based angle here is that the simplest foods often bring the most consistently positive results. Your body recognizes real whole foods more easily than overly processed alternatives. Cottage cheese often contains just a few ingredients, milk, cultures, and a bit of salt, and pineapple is simply a fruit. Rather than adding powders with questionable research behind them, Jerry found he could meet a portion of his daily protein and micronutrient needs in under 5 minutes with minimal hassle. And because both components are widely available, they didn't break his budget. If you want to follow Jerry's example, you might consider skipping the fancy or hard-to-pronounce ingredients. Look at what's straightforward and accessible. The next time you do your grocery shopping, glance at the ingredients on your cottage cheese. Compare different brands to find the simplest list you can, ideally without artificial additives. Then add a small container of pineapple. You can adjust the ratio to your liking, more fruit if you want it sweeter, more cottage cheese if you'd like a creamier texture. Physically, this approach can support your muscle maintenance and help you manage your weight because high-protein foods can create a feeling of fullness without excessively high calories. Emotionally, there's comfort in knowing you don't have to jump on the latest health trend or invest in costly products. Jerry's story shows that consistency and simplicity can build real momentum in your life. The less complicated your new habit is, the more likely you'll stick with it. Before we continue, I'd love to check in. Can you think of a simpler swap you could make in your daily routine, whether for breakfast, lunch, or an afternoon snack, that might support your health without adding stress? There's no rush to answer, but reflecting on small, doable changes can spark meaningful progress. Let's move on and address a third misconception. Many older adults fear that cottage cheese with pineapple might not align with certain health conditions, like diabetes or concerns over digestive sensitivity. It's understandable if you've been told to limit sugary fruits or manage your dairy intake. Maybe you have a friend who cut back on cheese entirely after receiving a particular diagnosis. While caution is wise, especially when dealing with chronic conditions, it can also lead to missing out on beneficial foods. Consider Roberta, a 78-year-old who was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in her mid-60s. She carefully manages her carbohydrate intake, monitoring her blood sugar levels throughout the day. For years, she avoided pineapple because she feared all fruit sugars were off limits. Cottage cheese, however, was a staple in her home, but she found it bland and would often flavor it with salt or pepper, sometimes adding crackers for crunch. One day, Roberta's dietitian suggested trying pineapple in small controlled portions. The guidance was to measure out half a cup of pineapple chunks and pair it with a half cup of cottage cheese. By doing this, Roberta could balance the fruit's natural sugars with protein and some healthy fats from the dairy. The result? Her post-meal glucose check stayed within acceptable ranges, and she enjoyed a refreshing snack that helped curb her sweet cravings. She even noticed she was less tempted to dip into her stash of chocolate candies afterward because the natural sweetness of pineapple was satisfying enough. From a nutritional standpoint, pairing a protein source like cottage cheese with fruit can help moderate the impact of fructose on blood sugar levels. The protein and mild fat content slow down the absorption of sugars, which could lead to more stable energy and fewer spikes. That said, each person's body responds differently. If you have concerns about how fruit might affect your blood sugar or digestion, it's important to monitor your own reactions and consult a healthcare professional for personalized guidance. A practical way to implement this is to use measuring cups initially. Scoop the cottage cheese into a half-cup measure, then do the same for the pineapple. This helps you become aware of portion sizes. Over time, you'll develop a natural sense of how much works for you. If your digestion feels sensitive, consider introducing it slowly. A tablespoon of pineapple at first, then gradually adding more. You can also experiment with low-acid pineapple varieties or rinse off canned pineapple to reduce any extra juice that might aggravate a delicate stomach. Physically, when managed properly, this combo can support blood sugar balance, energy levels, and even aid digestion due to pineapple's bromelain. Emotionally, there's a sense of relief in discovering that forbidden foods might not be forbidden at all, just needing a thoughtful approach. Roberta found that this realization opened a door to reintroducing other fruits she once avoided, though always in moderation and with an eye on her glucose readings. The takeaway is not to lump all sweet foods into a single category. With proper balance, cottage cheese and pineapple can be a viable option, even for those managing conditions like diabetes. Sometimes when you uncover a new perspective, it can spark curiosity about what else might be possible. Have you ever found yourself saying, "I can't have that," only to learn later there was a safe way to enjoy it all along? Taking that question to heart might encourage you to experiment in your kitchen a bit more, under your doctor's guidance if necessary. Now let's shift focus to a more emotional and social aspect of this conversation, because food isn't just about physical health. It's also about pleasure, connection, and the ability to share simple joys with those around us. Some people might assume that cottage cheese with pineapple is either too boring or too old school, something you'd find on a 1970s diet menu and not at a modern dining table. This perception can stop us from fully embracing it, but let's consider the difference it can make when we let ourselves enjoy what we eat, even if it's a classic pairing that was popular decades ago. Imagine you invite a few friends over for an afternoon chat. You don't want to labor over a complicated dish, yet you'd like to serve something that feels both nostalgic and fun. That's exactly what Helen, a 77-year-old social butterfly, did. She recalls that in her youth, cottage cheese with pineapple was the quintessential lunch plate at diners. Now she sees it as a delightful way to spark conversation among her friends, many of whom reminisce about ordering it in their younger days. During her gathering, Helen added a twist. She placed the cottage cheese and pineapple on small lettuce cups, sprinkled a bit of cinnamon, and even added a dollop of Greek yogurt mixed with honey for variety. The reaction was pure delight. Her friends commented on how refreshing it was to rediscover a forgotten favorite that suited their current lifestyles. Lower in calories, high in protein, and tasty enough to trigger a wave of shared memories. An evidence-based angle on enjoyment is that our emotional well-being has a direct impact on our overall health. When we savor our meals with friends or family, our bodies often respond with reduced stress hormones and improved digestion. Even the act of looking forward to a simple snack can boost mood and contribute to a sense of daily pleasure, something that can be especially meaningful for those who live alone or find their social circles shrinking with age. If you'd like to replicate Helen's idea, try serving cottage cheese with pineapple as a centerpiece for a light luncheon or even as a dessert alternative. You might experiment with adding a sprinkle of cinnamon or a few sliced almonds for texture. This variety can help you discover new flavor combinations while sticking to the foundation that makes this dish so appealing. The pineapple also lends a bright pop of color, which can be inviting on any table. Some folks even enjoy a pinch of chili powder for a surprising sweet and spicy kick, an unconventional twist that might spark curiosity among guests. Physically, adding small elements like lettuce cups or nuts can diversify the nutritional profile and make your meal feel more complete. Emotionally, it's a reminder that food can serve as a bridge between past and present, bringing back fond memories and encouraging social connection. You may find your friends reminiscing about their own experiences with this dish from years gone by, sharing tips and stories that deepen your bond. Before we wrap up this idea, here's a question worth pondering. Is there a dish or snack from your youth that you've practically forgotten about? One that might still bring you joy today if you gave it a chance. Rediscovering old favorites, especially those that can be adapted for better nutrition, can reignite a sense of wonder and delight in our daily routines. At this point, we've looked at a few different aspects of why cottage cheese with pineapple can be more beneficial and engaging than you might think. We've challenged the assumption that flavor and health are at odds, addressed the misconception that healthy eating must be complicated, dispelled fears related to specific conditions like diabetes, and explored the emotional and social perks of rediscovering a nostalgic dish. Let's gather these threads together and consider how they might brighten your day-to-day life. When you pause to think about everything we've covered, you might notice a common thread. Small, manageable changes can create a ripple effect on your overall health and happiness. By choosing cottage cheese with pineapple as a regular snack or mini meal, you potentially stabilize your energy levels, support your muscles with quality protein, and harness the nutrients and enzymes in pineapple to aid digestion. This is a snack that's easy to put together, tastes good, and can be adapted to various health needs with just a bit of attention to portion sizes and product choices. There's a form of gentle urgency here. As we grow older, every meal or snack becomes a chance to either nourish our bodies and spirits or to deplete them. The beauty is that you don't have to overhaul your entire diet overnight. Consider starting small, perhaps by replacing one less nutritious snack each day with a portion of cottage cheese and fresh pineapple. Over time, these little steps can add up. You may notice improvements in how you feel after eating, how satisfied you are between meals, and maybe even in your sense of connection to cherished memories or social gatherings. Envision what your life might look like in a few weeks if you took this idea to heart. Maybe you'll have a more predictable afternoon energy level, free from that slump that sometimes leads to an unplanned nap. Perhaps you'll see your digestion improve, feeling a bit lighter and more at ease after meals. Or maybe you'll simply enjoy the peaceful knowledge that you're giving your body a balanced source of nutrition while satisfying your taste buds. No single snack is a cure-all, of course, but every little choice paves a path toward better overall well-being. If you feel motivated to give this a try, here are a few next steps you might consider, depending on your comfort level. The easiest approach is simply to pick up a container of cottage cheese, low fat, moderate fat, or whichever variety you prefer, and a small tub of pineapple chunks. Try mixing them in a bowl for tomorrow's snack. If you want to be more adventurous, add a garnish like fresh mint or cinnamon. For those who want to explore even further, think about hosting a mini get-together, like Helen did, and sharing this dish with friends. You might be surprised at how a few scoops of cottage cheese and some fruit can spark an afternoon of laughter and pleasant conversation. Finally, if you'd like to deepen your nutritional journey and want personalized advice, schedule time to chat with a healthcare professional or a dietitian. They can offer insights tailored to any medications you're taking, as well as conditions like diabetes or kidney issues that might affect your protein or potassium levels. Stay informed, but also stay open to discovering new or old favorites that support both health and enjoyment. As you move forward, remember that you've likely accumulated a wealth of wisdom and resilience over the years. You have the ability to decide what's right for your body and lifestyle. Take the ideas that resonate, adapt them to your needs, and leave the rest behind. This way, you remain in charge of your journey toward better well-being, one snack at a time. Embrace the comfort, flavor, and nutrition that cottage cheese with pineapple can provide, and let it be a small but meaningful step toward feeling your best each day.